Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this evening, Michael, followed by other host, Sage.
Hi.
It's Culture Corner, without the culture.
Yeah. Instead, we're going to talk about me being late to the trend as per usual. Although I feel like this time...
It's different culture.
At this time, I feel like I'm only late by like a couple of months to a year.
Like half a year?
To a year. That's pretty good for me.
I think it's like half a year.
Okay, 6 months. Usually it's like 5 to 10 years.
That is true.
So I feel like I'm doing pretty good.
That's one way to put it. Let's see here. When did...
We're talking about Megan, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, it came out last year.
Oh, okay.
I need to find
In like
date.
the fall, I think?
We're about to find out.
I don't know if that's accurate. But I watched it last night because it just got added to Amazon Prime, and we were like flipping through stuff to see what we wanted to watch before we went to sleep. And I was like, oh, I wanted to watch that. I'll fuck around and find out.
Okay, well, it has the release date as 2022, but then it says it actually came out in January 6th, 2023. I'm guessing that it was like staggered release of some kind, but like then mass release in January is what I would assume that means.
Okay.
So 6 months.
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad.
It took you actually almost exactly 6 months. You beat it by a day.
Woohoo!
2 days.
But yeah, I watched it last night, and I first and foremost, while I was watching it the whole time, I was like, the main girl, what's her name?
Megan?
No, not Megan. The one that makes her.
Oh.
Gemma.
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, girl, have you never watched any movie where robots with AIs turn evil?
Well,
like, we have so many movies that are perfect examples of why you should not pursue this.
maybe those don't exist in her world.
I guess not.
Do they ever reference any?
I guess they don't, but I'm just like...
Maybe they were never thought of.
And then this whole thing of like, she's like, I have to now take care of this child that I have like literally nothing to do with up until this exact point in my life.
Right.
And I have like...
And never was able to even keep like a plant alive.
Right. And so I was like, okay, this is an interesting take, right? And then she like makes this doll to essentially take care of her on her behalf. But then I'm like, girl, what the fuck do you think is gonna happen? And I like how the therapist character,
Yeah.
weirdly just calm, weirdly like, this is probably a problem, but I'm not gonna step in, intervene, nothing.
Well, I wouldn't say that. 'Cause she actively does say if you don't figure this shit out,
Right.
your services will take her.
But that's at the very beginning.
Yeah, but I think it's because she's trying after that.
No. So when that first happens is like maybe within like the first week that she's with her, right? And it's like the whole thing of like there's no toys at the house and there's like no kids' books.
Is that when she rips open the priceless toy?
Yeah, the collectible.
Yeah. Doing some Gwen Stacy ass shit. Just, what's this? Rips open box.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't open the box at first.
Yeah.
They only open the box when the therapist is there.
Yeah.
Because the girl is like...
The therapist tells her to.
Yeah, because the girl is like, oh, those are her collectibles. They're not actually toys that you play with. Mm-hmm. And Gemma doesn't want to look bad in front of the therapist.
Which, honestly, dick move by the therapist.
I know, right?
Like they aren't toys, clearly.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this thing's worth money. It's not to be used as a toy. I can go buy toys. I've just been busy at work because I got a child recently. Like out of nowhere.
I just got this child thrusted upon me.
And it's been a week.
Also, as the movie was going along, the little girl, I was like, wow, her life is just surrounded by death. Like, how is she just not getting progressively more traumatized?
Is she not?
Well,
she thinks a creepy ass singing robot is cool.
I guess that's fair. But
she heard that singing voice and went, I could fall asleep to this and not
barf.
That's horrifying.
Yeah.
The most unsettling part of those movies was those singing scenes.
But yeah, so like her parents both die in the car crash, and then that like fucking snot-nosed kid dies, Brandon.
Yep.
And then the neighbor.
Yep.
And then I guess she doesn't...
Was the neighbors the most brutal?
Yeah, she gets like eviscerated with chemicals in a power washer.
No, I know. I was just asking. Like,
Because, like,
I feel like hers was the most brutal.
I feel like, I'll be honest, Brandon, not really Megan's fault. He tripped and fell onto the road and then got hit by a car. She did not have the control over that. She did rip off his ear.
And she set up the circumstances for which that to happen.
I guess that's...
She chased him through the woods.
That's true, but...
leading him to trip onto the street.
But, chances, like, what are the chances he get run over by a car?
Also, the fucking counselor being like, the kid goes, I don't feel safe with that guy. I don't want to be with him. And she's like, all right, hey, you, kid that hasn't said anything to anyone, you go with that kid.
Yeah, hey, traumatized little girl. Go with this shitbag kid.
Who clearly is a shitbag since this other kid doesn't want to be with him.
Seriously.
Shitty counselor.
I was like, and when they introduced him, right, and he, like, tells the mom to, like, fuck off or whatever, I was like, damn. Like... Mom, what are you doing? Like, this is unacceptable behavior.
Except that does exist.
I know, but
Everywhere.
I just can never understand that, like, parents who allow their children to act like that. Because I'm like, what do you expect them to be like when they grow
They're
up?
parents that shouldn't be parents.
Like, do you think they're going to just grow out of this? Because my opinion is that they just become more and more of a shit person because you just allow them to get away with anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nature versus nurture argument.
I guess.
Right? But, like, so, like, theoretically, they could sort themselves out. But
like, how many times do they?
Yeah. I mean, most people that I knew that were like that are, as far as I'm aware, still assholes. So
honestly, I didn't feel bad when he died, and I didn't feel bad when the neighbor died.
Neighbor was also a bitch.
Yeah, I only cared when she killed the dog.
Yeah. The dog did eat the shit out of the kid, though.
Just a bite on the arm.
But, like, that one weirdly feels the most like it makes sense. Mm-hmm. The dog, you know? Like, the others are, like, overreactions in a way.
Right.
Where the dog is, like, actually inflicted harm.
Right.
So, like, you could be like, sure, AI logic, that dog's got to die.
Right.
Like, that one, you could be like, yeah, sure. These other ones, you're like,
But, yeah, that neighbor character, I was like, wow.
Also, what's up with all the names?
What?
Gemma, Katie.
Katie
was spelt stupid.
Katie, like, spelt how Mean Girl spelt it,
Cady.
Yeah.
So, you know, that girl's going to grow up to be a loser. or a bitch. One of those two.
One of the two. But, yeah, the neighbor character, I love, she's so fucking nosy. She's like, oh, who's that? Is she staying with you? Is she coming to visit you? I'm like, if I was Gemma, I wouldn't have been so composed. Especially because it seems like it's implied that, like, the neighbor is kind of a piece of shit all the time.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
I wouldn't even say it's implied. I feel like it's just explicitly stated when she's like, your dog keeps fucking coming over here and keep telling you to fix your fence.
Right. I would just be like, literally fuck off. I do not have time for this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's clear that Gemma doesn't know what the fuck she's doing.
Right.
Katie.
But I also felt it was weird that Katie just stayed in the car, that whole interaction.
She's a kid that just lost her parents.
I guess, but I wouldn't
she's
be
just,
like
sitting.
But also, if I'm Katie, I'm never getting in a car again. Like, I'm a sole
dissociate.
survivor of a, like, car crash where both my parents die. And then the shit kid gets run over by a car. Absolutely not. I am never getting in another vehicle ever again. I'll just walk everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Like,
but, you know, kids are also sadly really good at dissociating.
I guess that's true. But, yeah, when the boss died, like, gets stabbed or whatever, I was just like, yeah, he had it coming.
Yeah,
I feel like most of the deaths, they had it coming. Except for the assistant. I feel like he didn't do anything wrong. He was just trying his best.
He was selling company secrets.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, he had a
He
pretty
was also
shit
kind
job.
of a dick, but yeah.
Compared to everybody else, he was the least bad of the bunch, minus the dog.
I would have said her Gemma's friends.
But they didn't get killed.
Didn't they? Didn't they die in that explosion?
No. They it was like
I couldn't remember. I thought they died in that
No,
explosion.
they didn't die in the explosion. Because when I think they call the police because they show up at our house at the very end. And they're, like, there with them.
Are they?
Yeah. They come out of like a squad car or something.
Oh.
But yeah, the friends don't die. But I feel like if I made like a tier list of everyone who died in this movie, first, obviously the girl's parents.
Tier list in terms of what?
Like
feeling the most bad?
Like out of who I feel like shouldn't have died, right?
Okay.
The girl's parents, right? Not their fault. They didn't know it was going to happen.
Right. Okay.
Then the dog.
Okay.
Then the assistant.
Uh-huh.
Then the neighbor, then Brendan, then the boss.
Okay.
Maybe Brendan is actually deserved to die the most.
Okay. I guess. Well, all right. So in a general, like in about like the movie itself,
Right.
Right. Like, did you think it worked in terms of like a horror movie? Like, were you like scared at any times? Because I feel like from what I remember and what I have written down, because I looked up my review of it, a lot like I was like, that quite a bit of times like there was just a lot of cringy dialogue and situations, but then also just like the things like the singing and stuff was like cringy, but also really unsettling.
Yeah.
Just because of how creepy and like awkward it is.
Yeah.
And then
Not
also
soothing
no.
at all.
And then the like how the uncanny valley like worked in the movie's favor.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I never really found it very like scary at all, and I feel like it was also pretty cheesy.
I don't think it was really scary either. In terms of like a horror movie. I mean, I felt like there were some good shots where you can like sense like the emotions they're trying to evoke, right?
Yeah, that dance scene, horror.
Not the TikTok dances.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I felt like there were definitely shots and moments where I was like, I think that's a good shot, especially for the context of a horror movie.
Right.
They did a few of these where it was like lingering on Megan's face when she's supposed to be like powered down, and then you see her like looking in their direction or whatever. I liked stuff like that. I thought that was good. I kind of almost wish they were a little more subtle with things. Like it felt a little too obvious sometimes, if that makes sense.
Like what was gonna happen?
What was gonna happen, but also like just the way that certain things happen, right? Where it's like, okay, she makes this self-learning fucking doll, which is creepy to look at and interact with.
Right.
And she's like growing an attachment to the doll, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they see like little moments where like she values the doll more than the aunt Gemma, right?
Right.
Stuff like that, where I was just like,
because the doll's doing more teaching than Gemma
right?
is.
But like, just I don't know. It was like this thing where I felt like it was a little too heavy-handed with whatever kind of like themes they were trying to give.
Technology will be more important to your kids if you don't raise them.
Right.
Let technology do it.
And then like the whole thing of like the fucking corny ass presentation they were gonna do when they were gonna launch her, right? Like mass produce it.
Oh yeah, with Katie.
Yeah, I was like,
really fucked up.
That was fucked up. I was like, who greenlit this? Like, this is so weird.
Yeah, like her crying to the trauma and stuff. And you're like, you're gonna make this the
like
thing?
This is your advertisement, and it's so weird too, right? Because they start the ad and it's like, oh, my name's Katie, I'm 11 or whatever, and both my parents died in a car crash. But now I have this living doll that's self-learning and won't just kill every problem in my life, and it's great.
Yeah.
Like, what? Also, I love how they were like.
Do you think that Megan, if Katie had money problems, Megan would like just like hack the stock market to give Katie money?
I don't see why not.
Maybe a few deaths is worth it, you know?
I guess, but also like
damn these taxes. She overthrows the government.
But like, I I feel like some things were just a little like, it was a little clunky, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In like its storytelling.
It's not a very nuanced story.
No, it definitely isn't. And I also felt like there were times where it was like, okay, here's like a fairly smooth like story progression, and then we'll be like, oh, we have to hit this kind of emotional plot beat. Let's just put it here.
Right.
Okay, now we have to hit another emotional plot beat. Let's put it here. You know what I mean? Like, it was kind of weird, and I don't know if it was just the way it was edited or the dialogue or a mixture of certain things, but it felt kind of like weird. Not very balanced, if that makes sense. Because I feel like in a horror movie, I want to feel like either a building tension and threat, or you start with the threat and then it's like, okay, how do we solve it?
Gotcha.
Right? So
Yeah.
I feel like that's usually how it would go.
Right.
But in this one, it felt like it was like, okay, the movie starts, we introduce Megan, montage, she kills the dog, but they don't know that she killed the dog.
Yeah.
Like, Gemma's just like, oh, thank God that dog isn't fucking up my lawn anymore.
Yeah.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
Right? So she kills the dog, and then they're suspicious that she killed Brendan, but it never goes past that suspicion, and it's never like a thing of like, oh, for my own safety, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, right? And then she kills the neighbor, and at that point, Gemma's pretty convinced that she killed the neighbor, but she's still with the fucking doll. I'm like...
Yeah, because they're trying to figure out how to fix it.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just like, get the fuck away from the doll. Like, I feel like
she spent billions.
I just feel like
It's her life's work.
It felt too much like she's afraid of the doll, but she wants the doll to be successful in its launch, right? She wants to have it both ways.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the movie is trying to do two separate things at the same time.
I would argue, though, that goes into Gemma not being the best person.
Right.
Because she is actively trying to do both things, which don't make sense, but she's like, it has to work somehow.
Right, but I feel like it's fighting against itself in the context of the movie, and it's not like building up this scariness or tension or suspense
Yeah, I mean,
or
I would
anything
definitely
like
not
that.
say that the movie was scary.
I also feel like they could have, like, I guess it's a subtlety thing. Like, I feel like they went too far with it being obvious that the doll is immediately evil, kind of a thing, right?
Right.
Because even when they're first give the doll to Katie and they're like, okay, we're gonna pair her and she needs to spend as much time with her to like get her synced up or whatever for our presentation in front of the board, right? And
Right.
then it's this montage with a narration of Gemma doing like the fake presentation and being like, oh, Megan can do blah, 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 and blah, 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 right? And then literally on the line where she's like, and Megan never runs out of patience. And then it just immediately cuts to her running out of patience with Katie. And I'm like, see, it just feels like a weirdly heavy-handed. Like,
Yeah.
it needed to be, in my opinion, you either need to go like full out balls to the walls, super evil right away, or build it more gradually. You can't just tell me she's evil or show me that she's going to be evil, but it's not, it's somehow too much and not enough.
Well, it's like, I get
But
absolutely
also,
what you're saying, but I'm also like, when I went into that movie, I was like, me and Kieran were both like, this movie's gonna fucking suck. So like, going into it, I was like, I'm not expecting any of it to work. Mm-hmm. I'm surprised it did work in any capacity. Like, I walked away and was like, that was still fun.
right.
Like, that was fun. Like, it was like borderline schlock level, like schlocky level.
Yeah, I agree.
But like a little bit above.
Yeah.
Where you're like, there's better aspects to this than getting schlocky movie as it's.
I don't know. I feel like I would prefer if it went full schlock because I feel like it's not committing either way.
How
Like,
many times can we say the word schlock till it loses
I know,
meaning?
right? But you know what I mean? Like, I either want it to be totally ridiculous
Right.
Because it does have those elements, right?
Sure does.
But then it also has these elements that it wants you to take it seriously, but it's not done
It's not finding the way to weave the two together.
Right. It's not done in a way that's balanced and feels cohesive. It just feels like whoever wrote the movie and then whoever was directing the movie had like opposing views on what it should be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they were trying to like have their cake and eat it too, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like the movie is fighting itself, which felt weird. And then I feel like it ended so fucking weird, right? So
I fucking forgot James Wan wrote it.
Before the presentation,
mm-hmm.
Katie is having like a full-on fucking mental breakdown because she's not allowed to be with Megan.
Right.
And then Gemma is just like, I'm going to take you home now. We're going to leave Megan here. And Katie's like, all right. And then just gets in the car and goes home.
Well, doesn't she like...
And she calms her down or whatever.
I was gonna say, she actually moms the shit out of it for like a hot second.
She does, but it just felt too fast for like full-on mental breakdown. Like she's literally throwing shit in this testing room, like slamming on like that one-way, two-way mirror or whatever, right? Like she's just going crazy.
But it's also a child.
I guess, but also here's the thing. I think she's supposed to be like 11 years old, right?
Maybe.
I think. I don't know if she says how old she is, but I think she's supposed to be about 11. And it was weird because like one of the things that's like in the montage of like what Megan does, right? She's like reminding her to flush. I'm like, what fucking 11-year-old? Okay, even so, what 9-year-old doesn't remember to flush after going to the bathroom? You learn that like when you get potty trained. What kid doesn't remember to wash their hands by 9 years old? What are you, fucking stupid?
Look, man.
Like...
Some kids just do shit. They're not thinking about it, you know?
I guess, but like
every
every single time...
I'm in the middle of a game, and you're like, was it every time?
The whole montage, I feel like... She like the start of the montage, she would be like, oh, Katie, don't forget to flush, until she goes back and flushes.
The washing your hands thing, I feel like some kids absolutely will just not. Because they're like, I'm whatever.
Who cares about germs, right? But anyway, and then, like, it shows it again.
Some people don't care.
And then the next time she's telling her to flush, she's like, seriously, you have to flush.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm like, how often are you not flushing? Post-bathroom.
Right.
Like, are you that, like, spaced out that you just don't remember to do it?
Yeah.
It feels like a pretty automatic reaction. I feel like you are taught to flush post-bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. You say that, though, but I've definitely known people that haven't.
Truly awful.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
Yeah, it was not great living with those people.
Mm-mm.
No.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, sure wasn't great. Sure was not ideal. You hate having to have that conversation with, like, grown adults being like, dude.
Yeah.
I would like to have to be able to go walk into my bathroom and not have to think about that every time.
Yeah. But,
So, who knows? Maybe some people needed a Megan in their life.
to tell them to flush.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting them to, like, the first time they did, like, where she can, like, mimic someone's voice or, like, record and repeat or whatever. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that was it seems like a weird feature to give this doll. Like, irresponsible feature.
Well, most of
all these choices were irresponsible to make. Like, why are you giving this doll
sick dance moves?
The ability to look at someone's face and analyze their emotions.
Well,
like, I understand why, but it's too well done. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't just like general, like, sad, happy. It was like 6 fucking things at once.
Yeah, it was like reading all the microaggressions.
Yeah, like micro expressions. And I'm like, why would you do that? You absolute fools.
Well, you know, to be fair, I feel like that one at least, it's like you want it to be able to tell what this kid's feeling and how to best approach the situation.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm just like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Just throw the project into a fire.
I was with
Stick with Bruce.
I was with the guy friend who was like, the moment she acted weird when she was not even fully set up yet.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, we should not. And they're like, no, we're going to keep going. And he's like, no.
Seems like a mistake to me.
I was like, I'm with you there, guy.
Like,
I would have been like, nope, never mind. She's doing shit we didn't program. Nope. Literally,
the second the robot starts doing something you did not program it to do, pull the plug. Pull the plug. Like.
And now she's living in the fucking Alexa knockoff.
Yes.
The legally distinct Alexa.
Yes. Elsie.
Yeah. Elsie.
But I'm just like, that guy was the only one making smart decisions the entire movie.
Yep. And he almost died.
He almost died.
He almost died for it. Yeah. But like, it's a fun movie.
It is fun, but the whole time I'm like, don't do it. It's a mistake.
Well, yeah. But like, as the old saying goes, they don't know they're in a horror movie.
Yeah. But
nobody knows they're in a horror movie until they're dead.
I guess that's true.
So it's like, don't go down those stairs. It's like, well, you would probably go down those stairs because you're like, horror movies aren't a thing.
Right.
Like, why? There's not going to be anything in my fucking basement.
I am always living with the thought that there is something in the basement.
To be fair, out of you, Kat, and Kirsten, I guess, you people are always assuming you're going to be murdered at any second.
Well, no. So, like, especially, like, growing up in my parents' house, their house was particularly creepy. So this is when
my house made noises all the time.
When I was a kid, I did not watch horror movies at all. So it's not like I had these kind of tropes already in my brain because I was a huge scaredy cat.
Right.
But my parents' house was notably creepy. It was,
Yeah, it is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
It's in the middle of nowhere, right? Like there's 2 other houses on the street. And we like almost never had any lights on because
it was a bitch to find your house anytime I went.
Yeah, and we had this super long driveway and it's all like covered in woods, hard to find, hard to get to. And if you like
imagine Cabin in the Woods except a way better house.
But yeah, so it was really creepy, and especially because we had a lot of like windows, lots and lots. My mom she really likes like natural sunlight and all that jazz, which is
nice. Did they design that house?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why there's so many fucking windows.
Yeah, which is really nice and beautiful in the daytime.
Yeah.
Because then you can see, like the trees, and there's a stream in our backyard, and it's really nice and pretty, especially in the wintertime with all the snow. Gorgeous. The second the sun goes down, horrifying. Because we're in the middle of the woods, there's always like animals all around and stuff like that. So you're hearing all sorts of noises. And when you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't want to hear noises because you don't expect anything or anybody else to be there.
Right.
So the last thing I want to hear is noises, but you're constantly hearing noises because there's like animals and wildlife out there. And because my parents, they wanted to like save energy and their electric bill, whatever, almost if you weren't directly in the room you're in, no other light is going to be on. So where my room was, which was on like in an attic space, to get to the bathroom, I had to go down a flight of stairs in pitch darkness and then to the other side of the house, which was also completely dark. And all you can see, the only light is because in our living room we have all these windows. So you just see like the moonlight. So creepy.
Yeah, Slenderman's just hanging outside
and
there.
I used to watch TV in the basement because we had one like really, you remember those like really huge box TVs?
Yeah.
So we had one of those upstairs for the longest time until finally my parents got a flat screen, which nowadays seems like a really thick TV because it was like the birth of flat screens. Yeah. So they weren't like as skinny as they are now.
I think we had one of those huge box TVs for long enough that the first flat screen we got was pretty small. Still big, like still probably considered big by today's standards, but like it was not like like that.
Right.
You know, like it was smaller because also especially because that thing was really expensive, and so it was actually still pretty good for a long period of time.
Right.
And it was also just gonna be a bitch to get rid of.
Yeah.
So none of us wanted to have to move it.
The box TV we had, because it was upstairs, where it was, there was like a half wall and you could look down and see the living room. And so my dad, you can't get this TV down the stairs because it was too big because it's a spiral staircase. So he was like, oh, we'll just pulley system it down. And the rope snapped and it just slammed into our living room floor. And my parents' way to fix this was to put a rug there to cover up the damage. That rug is still there to this day. But yeah, so the house was extremely creepy, and I used to watch TV in the basement.
We gave you wild parents in scripting.
But then when it would be like time for me to go to bed, I'd have to get up, start to leave the basement, turn off one light, and then sprint up the stairs, turn off the next light, and then sprint to my room.
Is this when you were like a child, or were you always like this?
Oh, this is when I was a kid, and it was even worse because
I was gonna say, like, you never got used to it.
No, never. It's so creepy.
Okay.
Even when I was like in college, if my parents would like leave and I was taking care of their house, like whoever I was with as like a partner, I'd be like, you need to be here because I'm going to get fucking murdered in this house and no one's going to know.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But what was even worse though is our front door is a glass see-through front door. And in the nighttime, not pleasant.
Someone's just standing there.
You have no idea the number of times I'm like, I'm going to one day open this door from the basement because it immediately goes, you open the basement door and you're immediately in like the front entryway of the house or whatever. And you can see that glass door. I'm like, I'm going to open this door and there's going to be a person standing there.
You know, the times I wish I was friends with you people earlier. I would have fucked with you at least once.
Oh my, literally so scary.
I can't believe nobody did that.
Why?
Because it would have been funny.
I would literally lose trust in all humanity. I think my body would actually dematerialize. If I ever opened the door and somebody was there, I would just nope so hard, I would be like dusted.
It would have been funny.
And you know what's so funny though? So in the basement, there's this little tiny window because for a finished basement, you technically have to have two exit methods. So the way they got around this was to put an escape window. But the escape window, it's too tall to actually just reach. You have to like get something to stand on and reach it. And my parents were always like, oh, if there's ever a fire, just go out the escape window. But there was 20,000 obstacles in the way of the escape window. And then when I moved rooms to the loft space, I think I was like 14, and my mom's like, oh, just so you know, if there's ever a fire and you can't get down the stairs, just jump out of this third-story window and try to land onto the greenhouse. It'll break your fall. I was like, that is a terrible fucking idea.
Did you ever like think about those though? Like, because for my basement, there was no getting out. Like we had windows, but there was no way those windows were really gonna open anything. Like theoretically, right? Like if there's fire up the stairs and I literally can't get up them, there was shit down there that I probably could have just tried to break the windows open to get out. Like
right,
because
they were non-functional.
Like, no. Like they opened, but like so it was like
the push
it was
ones?
like this tall.
Yeah, I know.
And
what you're talking about.
only one side open.
Yeah.
And the side that opened, because it's only like this wide.
Right.
Like you could fit through it if all of it opened.
Right.
But only half. So you weren't really getting it through it. So like, I theoretically, if I had enough time, I could like break that shit out. Right.
Yeah.
Like, but like in my room that I grew up in, it was like the one window was just second floor to the floor, like, you know, fuck grass, and then the window next to my bed like went out onto what was basically like the roof for our kitchen, so I could just go out there, run over, and then I could go on, like, we had a gazebo and get on the gazebo and get onto the deck. That was always my plan.
Right.
For my sister, I was like, well, you get the flagpole outside one of your one window. Just jump and
for
slide.
it.
I mean, hey, look, if you're gonna do something, it's better than just jumping to the floor.
I guess that's true.
You know?
Try to like brace your fall somehow.
Yeah.
Slow your momentum.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I feel like if I ever had to jump out of the window in my bedroom, like I would just either break my legs.
Was there no roof anywhere near the window?
No.
It was just window to ground.
Window to ground.
No.
Because if you're looking at it from the outside, it's essentially like the side of the house, a window where my dad's bathroom is, and then if you keep going up, another window, which was my bedroom window.
Right, so you hang from that one, you drop down to the other one. You have the
yeah.
grip strength of a fucking.
You know me and my dexterity, hand-eye coordination, timing, all that. I'm
grab
excellent.
the next ledge from the bathroom under you, climb into the bathroom, or if that's on fire, you just drop again.
Although I think directly underneath my dad's bathroom.
Tell me the gorilla grip don't strengthen to your hands too.
the window underneath my dad's bathroom had an outdoor shower, but in the non-summer seasons, my mom would put like plant holders and stuff. So if you try to do that, you're just going into like ceramic plant holders. So it's that breaks your fall, or our plastic greenhouse can break your fall. But I feel like you have to try and jump out really wide to get to the greenhouse. Like to the planters,
I feel like at that point
down.
you're fucked. Just try to tuck and roll the best you can.
Just die.
Yeah. Could you get to the roof from your window?
No.
Oh. All right. Well, then, yeah, you fucked.
Because to get to the roof, you'd have to go up, but there's no ledge or anything to hold on to.
But also at that point, I feel like the best case would just be take the risk with the fire to get through it. Wrap yourself in fucking something and just run.
Go for it,
Yeah.
I guess.
Wrap yourself in comforter and just go for it. Because, there's if you're really trying to live, yeah, you could be fine going out of a third-story window, realistically, as long as you don't fuck it up entirely.
Right. As long as you're not trying to land feet first.
Or head first.
Yeah, head first.
And if you're landing feet first, you gotta roll.
Right.
Otherwise, your legs will go into your fucking skull. But just wrap yourself in some shit and try to go for it. But you could. No, I'm thinking of the loft. You weren't in the loft, right? Where it overlooked your kitchen.
No, okay. So imagine you remember in the loft we had that slanted wall with the rock pegs.
Yeah.
So on the other side of that wall
Was yours?
was my room.
Okay.
Because my room had like this.
Right.
Kind of slanted ceilings.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I guess you just die.
Yeah.
I don't even. For this house, I mean, you're mostly fine. The only room I guess you'd have to think about it is the office because there's just nothing in front of it.
I guess, but
That
I
would
feel
just
like
be
that
right into the
drop
plants.
isn't
No, not at all. You
super
just
far.
hang and you're good.
Yeah.
But each other one you can get to the roof.
That's
on
a good
both
thing
of my
about
windows.
a split level. Nothing's too tall.
You can get to the roof on one of Kieran's. Here you have 2 exits.
Right.
And then downstairs you have 1.
Yeah.
So.
But there's a window there downstairs.
Yeah, you could break the window.
Yeah, get out there that way too.
So realistically,
you'd be okay.
Yeah.
Although I did have it happen once where, in our living room is a very large wood stove, and I was home by myself. I was maybe 13 or 14, and the smoke alarm started going off. And it was January, middle of winter. And our smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm started going off. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what the hell is going on? So I go into the living room and the chimney pipe had split in half. So all this thick billowing black smoke is coming into the house. And I didn't know what to do. So it's pitch dark outside.
Please tell me you turned it off.
It's a wood burn. It's wood.
Yeah, but you just turn the flume off and it kills it. I mean, it smothers the flame as fast as you can.
So I tried to smother I turned the thing. It was already down actually because it doesn't fully do it. but it's
Could also
not
just
as much.
thrown water into it.
Well,
Would've ruined
here's
it.
what I did. So I opened every single door and window in the house
Smart move.
to try and get the smoke out so it wouldn't kill me.
Well, partially smart. Yeah, smart move. Because if the dampeners are on, it doesn't matter. So yeah, smart move.
But then I was like, okay, I want to put out the fire. So I got a bucket of water and I started grabbing one piece out of a time and dunking it in the water to try to get the fire to go out. I mean, it worked. I got the fire to go out.
I mean, you didn't ruin the thing, so I guess it worked.
It's an expensive wood stove. I'm not trying to ruin
But
it.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, was it the safest way to do it?
No.
No. But for 14 years old, I felt like that was pretty good.
It's again, it's like when the fucking toaster caught fire with you people. Like, Jesus Christ, I was hungover as fuck. The only
Colin and I
time
are like, what do we do?
the only time I've ever been hungover in my life because I blacked out because it was the only time I decided I really wanted to drink. Mm-hmm. And then you guys are like, we're going to make food. And the toaster fucking catches fire. And Colin's like, do I grab water? And I'm like, it's electrical. Don't do that. And then you guys are like trying to figure out. And I just get up from the couch, rip the thing out of the wall, walk out and place it outside. And I'm like, leave it.
It would have been so funny if you just went into the water. We're not trying to break their toaster, but that would have been really funny.
And I was like, and it was because like all of you guys were like, wow, the fireman really popped out on you there.
Yeah.
Like crisis mode was just like, you're all idiots. I'll fix it. Felt awful that day.
Yeah.
It was horrible. Driving home too, because fucking Eamon and Kirsten always fucking fall asleep on the way home. So not only did I feel like shit and tired, I couldn't talk to anyone during the drive home to keep myself awake.
You should have called someone on the phone.
Yeah, but I also didn't want to have to talk to anybody, like, you know?
Yeah, I understand. I understand.
So I was just like,
We were like, this is
the
miserable.
worst day ever. Yeah, that sucked. And then I like slept for like 2 days.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. But hey, at least I know I could still deal with crisis situations.
Yeah.
Crisis situation. That was a fucking toaster. That was on
But
fire.
I
You could have
understand.
left it and it would have been fine. But
Just us panicking. Ah!
like realistically, as long as you unplugged it, it would have been fine.
Right.
But
No, I thought it was the toast was on fire.
I don't remember exactly what was
That's
on
why
fire.
we didn't know what to do.
I don't remember exactly what was
Yeah.
on fire. But like, as long as you unplugged it, it would have been fine because it would have just kept the fire until it died.
Right.
But I my brain was just like, they're gonna freak out about it, so bring it outside.
We absolutely did.
Yeah.
Good times.
Mm-hmm. Fun. So fun.
I feel like I'm only useful in certain crises. Crises?
You're only good when it comes to needing something to be put together.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at that.
You're like your stage management brain that you don't use anymore, and your degree is wasting away as it
Yeah.
slowly dies in dust and mothballs. That's when that degree pops in when you need to get some shit going.
Yeah.
Like, you know, putting this table together when everyone was here, and you're just like, all right, let's do this shit right now. Like, you can do that.
Yeah. But
Anything-
like physical crisis, not so helpful.
yeah.
Or like anything to do with like weather or fire, I'm just like, well, let's hope for the best.
Yeah. Well, you know, hey, at least yesterday worked out.
Yeah, well, yesterday was
4th
good.
of July.
Yeah.
Yeah, we smoked more brisket.
Brisket, delicious.
Was very good. Did you guys do anything afterwards?
After the brisket,
Yeah, well, I mean, like, did you go to like see any fireworks, or were you just
oh
went
no,
home?
I was like, we went to go eat sushi because I really wanted sushi, and then we went home and watched Megan,
All right.
and then we went to bed.
Me and Kieran watched The Bear.
Oh
Season
yeah,
2.
you so? Oh, I thought you finished both seasons.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't tell him I watched the second season.
Oh, okay.
So, well, I'm watching it for the first time.
You were betraying him, but secretly.
To be fair, I asked him originally. He was like, I don't know when the fuck I'm going to get around to it. And I was like, I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
So, and it's been like a month. So
I guess that's fair.
I feel like it was justified if I had to wait a month.
Yeah.
We're on the last episode.
Oh, okay. So you pumping through it.
Yeah, literally. We just went from all of it in like one night.
Because it's how many episodes?
10.
10?
The first one was 8,
Oh, okay.
but it's 30 minutes each.
Oh, I thought they were hour-long episodes.
Nope.
Okay,
You
that's not so
fucking
bad.
chug through that shit.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's pretty easy to kind of like.
Yeah,
boom,
absolutely.
boom, boom.
It's so good. And it's like it's so fucking good. The show is fantastic. It's I know we talked about it before, but
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It's on another level for like script writing. Although I will say the character, one of the main characters, Sydney, I don't know, like, because me and Kieran talk about it a lot, right? Like, I don't know if she's written in a way that you're supposed to find her annoying, or it's just we find her annoying. But whatever it is, I just hope that whatever they're writing her and whatever they're doing, that it doesn't lead to her wanting to be in a relationship with the main character, with Carmi.
I see.
Because A, it would feel weird.
I see.
B, I don't like her. So I don't want that to be like the fixing solution to all the problems happening.
Right.
And 3, I just like, again, it would feel weird. Like it doesn't feel like that's where things are going. It feels more like it's just like mentor or mutual respect. And it would feel weird if it was like, now they care about each other.
Now they want to be like in a relationship.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. Maybe that's just at the moment, but I don't think I want that out of the story. Like, I'd much rather them just be mutually respecting of each other.
Right.
Like, because sometimes shows don't need the two leads to be dating.
Of course.
And I feel like this is one of them.
Right.
And I don't want them to be like, but maybe you do though. So, and season 2, like, kind of weirdly seems like it's flirting that line, like, a little bit. But it's left in a way that you can't tell if that is what they're doing.
Right.
Or it's just, like, the framing of it is odd. And it's not actually meant to be that.
Right.
But, I don't know. I know that there's a lot of people that do want it. I'm just not one of them.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. I find her very annoying.
Annoying in like
no,
what way? Like
maybe annoying is not the right word. I just
because I have a character in mind that like is reminding me of what you're saying.
But
I want to know what about this character.
I'm trying to think about how to like describe it without like just straight up like ruining a part of the story.
Oh, gotcha.
Like she kind of comes off as like entitled when she shouldn't.
Okay.
Like, she is very skilled and has proven that she is. But it feels like with everything that we know about the character and how she's failed in a lot of different areas that she shouldn't come off as entitled as she does. And, like, in a way that she's, like, she'll come off and be like, I am better than you to, like, the main character, like Carmi, which he is fucked up. He has a lot of problems going on.
Right.
But, like, it's weird that she, like, feels like this sense of entitlement to things going on that you're like, I don't feel like you should have this entitlement.
So you feel like she needs to be, like, more, like, humbled.
I guess. I don't know. Like, I mean, the whole point of the show is that everybody's pretty kind of fucked up in different ways. But I don't know if that's, like, there's a point in season 1 where she fucks up and it is entirely her fault. Like, nobody else is to blame. And it causes a huge problem. And Carmi gets like, and while he's dealing with the problem, he kind of flips out because he's like trying to balance all this shit so they don't fuck up the day.
Right.
And she is like, I don't deserve this. Like, this, how is this my fault? Like, and she like quits. And you're like, this is entirely your fault, and the fact that you get called out on it, and you're like, I'm not standing for this, I quit.
Okay, I understand what kind of person this is now, and yes, that does seem like that would be annoying.
It's I don't know, like that. Me and Kieran were talking about it. And it was like that's
it's the kind of character that like can't see their own faults.
Yeah, but like again, but she also does because she brings it up. She brings up her where she's failed and other things too.
current faults. Maybe they should. Maybe she's good at like retrospection, but not in the moment.
I don't know. I
You know what I mean?
You should
though?
watch the show.
I want to watch the show. I'm interested in it, but
But,
I have
yeah.
like a lot of things to catch up on.
But like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe
It's-
in like 5 years I'll get around to it.
Yeah. But it's I don't know. It's a lot. And then there's an episode in season 2 that is just like family trauma. The episode. It's literally just like any dysfunctional family's Christmas party.
Oh, yikes.
As an entire episode.
Yikes. Where it's just there's so much tension, it's so awkward, and you're like, I'd like to leave.
And-
I'm not a part of this, but I need to leave.
Where it's like, I've lived this.
I
I've lived
need to
this
go.
in very various different ways, and
Yeah,
I hate it
yeah.
here. Which is funny because Kieran was like, I've never lived this, so this isn't that bad for me. And I'm like, nope, I have had certain conversations just like this at
it's
family
that thing
parties.
where it's almost too real, and you're like, you need to stop.
Yeah.
You need to. No. We're
Mhm.
going too far now.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's really interesting, but the problem is it's one of those shows where you're like, clearly nothing can go right. So when things are going right, you're like,
You feel
when's
like
this gonna
yes.
fucking fall? When's the shoe gonna drop, dude?
Okay. I know I keep harping on this, but I need you to watch Breaking Bad. And here's why. If you're saying you like this show for how well it's written,
It's funny because you said that's the exact same thing the last
well,
time I
there
brought
you
up the
go.
bear.
I'm just saying, if you feel like things are going right and it's too good to be true and you're on edge, like Breaking Bad is that show.
You could watch the bear and you'd be done with it in 2 days.
Okay, Breaking Bad is only 5 seasons.
I couldn't finish that in 2 days.
It's on. You could. The first season's only 8 episodes.
That's
8 hours.
yeah. So that's more than because
No.
8 episodes for season 1
And then
is
it's
4 hours.
And then I think it's 10 episodes. I don't know if this is factual. Hold on, let me look it up. I'll give you the breakdown on the Breaking Bad episodes.
But
I think you would actually really enjoy it, and that's not just me like continuously.
no, I
harping
know
on
I
it.
will. I just haven't gotten to it.
It's on Netflix, broski.
I know.
You have no excuse.
I'm watching other things.
I'm watching other things. I watched it,
Look, man,
and I am
I'm
late
getting
to
through
every
Inuyasha
single
first.
trend. Don't you even get me started on that,
Why?
because you're done.
No, I'm watching Yashahime. Then I'm done.
Oh my good lord! How long is that? The
Yashahime
sequel
is
season?
it's 24 episodes and then another 24.
Oh, it's two
2
seasons.
Yeah. I don't know if there was a third or not, or if they're going to make a third. I don't know.
Oh, is it still running?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know because I know that the story was like laid out by the original author, whose name is escaping me at the moment, who I feel really bad about. She's the one that also did Rama One Half,
Oh, okay.
like the same author,
yeah.
same manga. And okay, as far as I can see, there's at least no like sequel listed.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if it's been announced or if the show just ends after this.
Okay.
It might. But I think she laid out the general A, M, and Z, and then the guy that took over kind of filled out all the other in between letters.
Okay.
Which is probably also why it doesn't feel like as tight of a show.
Yeah, that's fair.
Also, yeah, both seasons are 24 episodes.
Because if it's just more like a broad strokes guidelines kind of a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, so like I was telling Sage this earlier when I was talking about Inuyasha. It was like where Inuyasha as the show itself, it's like a solid 8 to me at least. Like it was fun. It was generic but fun. And then there's the final chapter or final whatever. I think it's called the final chapter though, which is like exposition the show, and feels like the quality instantly drops off. And that I feel like is like a 7, and only a 7 because the ending is the ending of the show, and it's solid.
Right.
Because you're like, that's pretty much where everything expected to go, even though everything else was pretty boring and bad.
Yeah.
In the final chapter, like the ending is enough of a satisfying ending for Inuyasha that you're like, okay, fine, you get a 7 as a pass, but really you're like a 6.
Right.
And then Yashahime, at least for season 1, is just so generic, and it doesn't have the same like. It doesn't have the same interest. It feels like in its own world itself than that Inuyasha did. That it's like everything that was wrong with the final chapter, but more so. And then so it's like like the first season was like a 6 out of 10. It was like, I'm mostly just here to
Serviceable.
finish this show.
Yeah.
Like I'm mostly just here to say, hey, I've watched all of everything Inuyasha related.
Right.
Um,
You have all the context.
yeah. And also, it really sucked that some of the voice actors are retired and you don't get their voices back. Like,
I mean,
Shishomaru's voice actor retired. But the replacement for Shishomaru though does a solid job because it's just deadpan voice. So like, it's not hard to like if they got somebody that was just good at deadpan that you're like, yeah, that's fine. So his voice is fine.
Same kind of infliction.
Yeah, his voice is fine. Kagome's voice actor gets replaced. Do not like her replacement voice. In Yashahime, because I'm pretty sure those are the only 2 that get replaced in the final chapter.
Oh, okay.
I think. And then in Yashahime, Jockin's voice gets replaced. Not as good. Moroku's voice gets replaced. It's fine, but not as good.
Right. I like Moroku's voice.
I'm confused. I'm gonna look it up real quick if Inuyasha's voice actor gets replaced or not. If not, it's just that you can tell that clearly he is aged.
I mean, I feel like because after a certain amount of time,
it is a kind of no. I mean like the voice actor himself, not Inuyasha.
No. I'm not. I'm saying about the voice actor.
Oh.
I feel like after a certain amount of time, like as you grow older, regardless of I think how much you can keep a certain voice as a voice actor, it's gonna have a different feel to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, just to give you a quick breakdown, season 1 is 7 episodes. This is Breaking Bad. Season 2 through 4 are 13, and then season 5 is 16 episodes.
It is still the same person.
For Inuyasha.
Yeah. So he's just aged, I guess.
Gotcha.
Because like every now and then when you hear the voice, because they're not really in the show all that much, because they needed a reason to not have the heroes that solved the problem for the last time.
Right.
In the newer show,
Right.
The few times he
it's
has
like cameo kind of a thing, or more of a cameo.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm just trying to like picture in my brain how frequent their appearance.
Not very.
Is. Okay.
Not very at all. Moroku's shown up the most.
Gotcha.
And that's still not much. Shishomaru shows up a lot because the show's about his daughters.
Right.
So
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But like the few times Inuyasha has said stuff on screen, you're like, I can hear Inuyasha in there, but it also sounds different.
Yeah.
So you're like, is this the same guy? I guess it is. But yeah, but it's just like clearly they've aged up. But yeah, I don't know. It's odd. It's weird seeing the things and being like, those aren't the same voices. And it's like, I didn't even grow up with these voices, but like, it still feels weird.
I think if it might feel weirder if you're watching it like back to back, right? So, because I feel like if you grow up watching something over like a long course of time, it's harder to notice like the change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you're watching it so quickly, I feel like it's much easier to pick up on it because you're so used to hearing one thing.
Yeah.
So
and
even if it's similar, you're like, wait a second, why does that sound different? You know what I mean?
Kagome is not similar.
Not similar.
No. Like the person does a fine job, but
it's just not her voice.
Yeah, not her voice.
Yeah. I think that's always funny though. It's like you know a character to have like a very specific tone.
Yeah.
And then when they change like the voice actor, you're like, who is this?
It's the same thing with Jockin's voice actor in Yashahime, where it's like it is not anywhere like what he seems like he should sound like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even like comparably to what you have already heard, but like, and I mean, I don't know. It's a biased thought because you're like you see Jockin, and then the first time you see Jockin, you hear the English voice actor's voice, and you're like, that fits. And then once it changes, you're like,
it doesn't fit anymore.
That does not fit anymore. Yeah. And you're like, do you think that because of the first person? Or like if you heard this voice first, you'd be like, yeah, okay, that's fine. And then you hear the original voice and you're like, that's fucking awful.
Yeah, so, I feel like stuff like that, it's hard to know.
Bias,
yeah. Because I think even with other shows, sometimes when you like, I know with like Teen Titans, right? Like you know their voices.
Yeah.
But then in Teen Titans Go, they sound different. They sound similar,
Yeah, because they are the same voice actors.
but don't they sound different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where I'm like,
Well, I think they changed the cadence too. Like when that movie, had the crossover of the two movies, right? They kind of carry themselves slightly different, don't they?
I think so, because I think in Teen Titans Go, I don't know.
I think they play it up a little more.
I was gonna say I feel like they go up a little because it is much more, like, what's the word? Not kiddie, but like,
yeah, because it's not really a kid demographic, but it is more of a kids aimed show.
yeah, just with like the visual style, much more bright and bubbly concept kind of thing going on, and I think it's a lot more geared to being comedic.
Yeah.
Opposed to Teen Titans where they had much more serious things happening. So like they couldn't be doing extremely high bright voices for the themes of Teen Titans. Like it just wouldn't make sense, you know what I mean?
Usually we wrap it up, but I wanted to bring up one other thing.
Okay, by all means.
The Spice and Wolf thing. Did you watch the trailer?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't even know they had the trailer. I just thought they announced the studio.
Okay. Hey, I'm going to show her the trailer real quick just so we can talk about it.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Okay, we've watched the trailer.
We watched the trailer. I think it looks pretty good. I really like the way she looks. She looks really cute. Even like I didn't mind how she looked in the first iteration of the anime. It's just you were showing me that comparison photo of like the light novel versus the first anime.
Yeah.
And I think she looks much better with like softer lines. You know, her eyes really stand out.
Mm-hmm.
The hair looks really good too because like they made her skin very soft, kind of like almost like a sway, like fake, if that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a really nice contrast. I think the way she looks overall looks really good. And it's funny because I feel like the guy looks more bland. Like the guy is kind of bland to begin with in the first one.
But he's got the ruggedness of the harder lines.
Right. The hard lines help his design more. And then this with the soft lines, I feel like he looks like he could be a sheet of paper. A blank sheet of paper. Like there's nothing to look at.
Like I'm excited because I get more
Spice and Wolf.
Also, excited's not the right word for what's about to follow in this statement. But
Anticipation?
possibly grateful. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase this either. But they've also done High School DxD Hero and Interspecies Reviewers. I never watched Interspecies Reviewers because I just had no interest. But I have seen all of High School DxD. And they also did Citrus. It's the same studio that did those. And hopefully that just means we're going to get really good fan service of Holo. Because we should. Because Holo's best girl. And they've clearly put out high quality fan service before.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just saying we should get something out of this deal if it's going to be them doing it. But also, the one thing I am slightly bummed about it is that they're restarting.
Right.
Which makes sense.
I feel like it's
been
hard
like
to pick
20
up.
years.
Yeah.
So I get it. But that also means that I'm going to have to wait like 7 years to find to watch the manga finally like move on past where the original anime ended,
right,
and see that part of the manga animated,
right?
You know, where I'm just like, yeah, I'm super excited, but also, God, I just want to see the new stuff,
right?
New stuff, relatively speaking.
Newer to anime,
yeah.
Animated,
but it's like, all right, well, you know, as long as it's still good. I really want them to get the same voice actors back, but I don't know if any of them are still working or not.
I was going to say, because wasn't the first one in like early 2000s?
Yeah, I think so.
Because that's a really big gap to get them back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they did that for Inuyasha, for Yashahime, for some of them.
I guess that's fair.
So,
and that's a pretty big gap between those productions as well, right?
Sure is.
Because Inuyasha,
early 2000s also.
Right.
Ended in 2004.
It started in 2001?
Around there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, some of them came back.
I guess
and that's like 20 years later.
Right.
Spice and Wolf. Okay, 2008 and 2009.
Okay.
So after Inuyasha.
It's like 15 years difference.
Yeah.
It's still a pretty considerable gap, but I feel like not as crazy as like 2 decades, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to find out who did the English voices. I'm pretty sure both of these people
Are still
work.
like working.
Yeah. So I kind of want them to come back. I think their voices are very good for it. Everyone else, their voices, whatever.
Well, I feel like they were the only 2 main characters.
Yeah. So.
You know what I mean? So I feel like there's no real like need to get everybody else back because everybody else is kind of like not even secondary. I feel like there's very few even secondary characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, another anime that I was just thinking about that brought back the Johnny Young Bosch came back for to play Vash.
True.
And that's also like 20 years.
True, but I feel
I
like
think
Johnny.
he's the only one that came back.
But I feel like
though.
Johnny Ambashi, he has never slowed down.
Yeah, true.
He's just like.
But like I don't. Actually, no. I think Nicholas D. Wolfwood's voice actor did retire.
In between.
Yeah, I think so.
Gotcha.
If not, they just didn't cast him back. Which, the new voice is good, but
it's not the same.
It's not the
I feel
same.
you. I feel you.
I'm really debating whether or not to have that as my next recommendation.
Oh, the new one.
Yeah,
Because they changed a lot of stuff, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure did.
I remember you telling me that.
But I don't know. I might do a lighter one and then do.
Yeah,
But I'll figure it out, I guess.
you'll see.
Anyway, now we can end it.
Yeah.
Just wanted to talk about Spice Wolf, the greatest anime of all time. It's not the greatest anime of all time.
It's not.
But it is great.
It sure is an anime that we
guys
watched.
are just not cool. You just don't
Oh
get
yeah,
it,
coming
Mom.
from the coolest guy in town.
Yeah, dude.
Michael.
I am the raddest person on the planet. Do you see this podcast set that lives in my house in the main entryway of my house that anyone that walks into this house sees?
Nothing says I'm a cool guy like having a wall with just all figurines.
That literally every person that ever has come into this house has to see because it's right in the entryway.
Yeah.
Plumbers, electricians, and
Delivery
every
people.
time they're like, "So what's that about?"
You know, I feel like you need to make like a curtain.
Yeah, curtain. I did think about that for a while, and I was like, "What's the point?"
Yeah, that would be really annoying.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, hey, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I hope you liked it. Don't forget, you have 3 weeks. 3 weeks. No, 3 weeks.
4 weeks.
Nope. Last week we recorded the 111. Because
Sure.
We didn't do the anime podcast, anime club yet.
I know.
Yeah.
But wouldn't we be now ahead of that?
We're 112 right now.
Yeah, so wouldn't they have 4 weeks? Because last episode they would have had 5. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah, 5 weeks from the episode.
I am sorry. I'm very sorry. Yes, 3 weeks. Mike is
Bitch,
correct.
don't think I know what I'm doing.
Usually you sit there like counting fingers.
I was on top of it, and you were questioning.
I messed you up.
Anyway, 3 weeks to watch the second season of ReZero. So yeah, don't forget to do that. Don't forget to check out Kat at Kat the Moonstar on Twitch. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, like, and follow. And we will see you guys next week for whatever the fuck we talk about. Kat will be at least back from vacation, so maybe she'll be on the episode.
Woohoo!
All right, see you guys next week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.